It would serve you right if father disinherited you. Mukunda, how foolishly you're throwing away your life. An elder brother, sermon, was assaulting my ears. Jitendra and I, fresh from the train, a figure of speech, merrily, we were covered with the dust, had just arrived at the home of Ananta, recently transferred from Calcutta to the ancient city of Agra. Brother was a supervising accountant for the Public Works Department of the government. You well know, Ananta, I seek my inheritance from the Heavenly Father. Money first, God can come later. Who knows, life may be too long. God first, money is his slave. Who can tell, life may be too short. My retort was summoned by exigencies of the moment and held no pertinment. Alas, Ananta's life did not come to an yearly close. Wisdom from his hermitage, I suppose. But I see you have left Banaras. Ananta's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. He was just hoping to secure my penitence in the family nest. My sojourn in Banaras was not in vain. I found there everything my heart had been longing for. You may be sure it was not your Pandit or his son. Ananta joined me in remittance laughter. He had to admit that Banaras, clairvoyant he selected, had proved a short-sighted one. What are your plans, my wandering brother? Jitendra persuaded me to Agra. We shall view the beauties of the Taj Mahal here, I explained. Then we are going to my newly found guru, who was a hermitage in Serampore. Ananta hospitably arranged for our comfort. Several times during the evening, I noticed his eyes fixed on me reflectively. I know that look, I thought. A plot is brewing. The denoyment took place during our early breakfast. So you feel quite independent of father's wealth. Ananta's gaze was innocent as he resumed the barbs of yesterday's conversation. I am conscious of my dependence on God. Words are cheap. Life has shedded you thus far. What a plight if you were forced to look to the invisible hand for your food and shelter. You would soon be begging on the streets. Never. I would not put faith in the pass-byers rather than in God. He can devise for his devotee 1,000 resources besides the begging bowl. More rhetoric. Suppose I suggest that you wanted philosophy, but you put to a test in this tangible world. I would agree. Do you confine God to a speculative world? We shall see. Today you shall have opportunity to either enlarge or to confirm my own views. Ananta paused for a dramatic moment, then spoke slowly and seriously. I propose that I send you and your fellow disciple Jitendra this morning to the nearby city of Brindaban. You must not take a single rupee. You must not beg, either for the food or money. You must not reveal your predestination to anyone. You must not go without your meals, and you must not stranded in the Brindaban. If you return to my bungalow here before 12 o'clock tonight without having broken any rule of the test, I shall be the most astonished man in the Agra. I accept the challenge. No hesitation was in my words or in my heart. Grateful memories flashed of the instant beneficence. My healing of deadly cholera through an appeal to the Lahari Mahasyas picture the playful gift of the two kites on the Lahore roof, the opportune amplet amidst my discouragement in Bareilly, the decisive message through the sadhu outside the courtyard of the Pandit's house in Banaras, the vision of Divine Mother and her majestic words of love, her shift hid through Master Mahasaya to my trifling embarrassments, the last minute guidance that had materialized my high school diploma and the ultimate boon, my leaving master from the midst of my long life dreams. Never would I admit my philosophy unequal to any tussle on the world's harsh proving grounds. Your willingness does your credit. I will escort you to the train at once, Ananta said. He turned to the open mouthed Jitendra. You must go along as a witness and very likely a fellow victim. A half an hour later, Jitendra and I were in the possession of one-way tickets for the trip. We submitted in the secluded corner of the station to a search of our persons. Ananta was quickly satisfied that we are carrying no hidden hoard or simple dhotis concealed nothing more than was necessary. A faith invaded the serious realms of finance. My friend spoke protestingly. Ananta, give me 1 or 2 rupee as a safeguard. Then I can telegram you in case of misfortune. Jitendra, my ejaculation was sharply reproachful. I will not proceed with the test if you take any money as a final security. There is nothing assuring about the clink of coins. Jitendra said no more as I regarded him sternly. Mukunda, I am not heartless. A hint of humility had crept into Ananta's voice. It may be that his conscience was smiting him, perhaps for sending two penniless boys to a strange city, perhaps for his own religious spectatum. If by any chance or grace you pass successfully through the Brindaban ordeal, I shall ask you to initiate me as your disciple. This promise had certain irregularity. In keeping with the unconventional occasion, the eldest brother in an Indian family seldom bows before his juniors. He receives respect and obedience second only to a father. But no time remained for my comment. Our train was at the point of dispatcher. Jitendra maintained a lugubrious silence as the train covered the miles. Finally, he betrayed himself. Leaning over, he pinched me painfully over a tender spot. I see no sign that God is going to supply our next meal. Be quiet, doubting Thomas. The Lord is working with us. Can you also arrange that he hooray? Already I am furnished, merely at the prospect before us. I left Banaras to view the Taj Mahals, not to enter my own. Cheer up, Jitendra. Are we not to have our first glimpse of the sacred wonders of Brindaban? I am in deep joy at the thought of treading the ground hallowed by the feet of Lord Krishna. The door of our compartment opened. Two men seated themselves. The next train stop would be the last. Young lads, do you have friends in Brindaban? The stranger opposite to me was talking a surprising interest. None of your business. Rudely I averted my gaze. You're probably flying away from your families under the enchantment of the citadel of hearts. I am of devotional temperature myself. I will make it my positive duty to see that you receive food and shelter from this overpowering heat. No, sir, let us alone. You're very kind, but you are mistaken in judging us to be trance from home. No further conversation induced. The train came to halt as Jitendra and I descended to the platform. Our chance companion linked arms with us and summoned a horse cab. We alighted before Standingly Hermitage, I repeat, set amidst the evergreen trees of well-kept grounds. Our benefactors were evidently known here. A smilingly lead us without command to the parlor. We were soon joined by an elderly woman of dignified bearing. Gauri Ma, the princess could not come. One of the men addressed the ashram hostess. At the last moment, their plans went away. They sent deep regards, but we have brought two other guests. As soon as we met on the train, I felt drawn to them as devotees of Lord Krishna. Goodbye, young friends. Our two acquaintances walked to the door. We shall meet again, if God by willing. You're welcome here. Gaurima smiled in motherly fashion. You could not have come on a better day. I was expecting two royal patrons of this hermitage. What a shame if my cooking had found none to appreciate it. The pleasant words had a surprising effect on Jitendra. He burst into tears. The prospect he had feared in Brindaban was turning out as royal entertainment. His sudden mental adjustment proved too much for him. Our hostess looked at him with curiosity, but without remark. Perhaps she was familiar with the adolescent quakers. Lunch was announced. Gaurima led the way to a dining patio, spicy with savory odors. She vanished into adjoining kitchen. I had been premeditating this moment. Selecting the appropriate spot on Jitendra's body, I gave him a pinch as painful as the one he had given me on the train. Doubting Thomas, the Lord works. In a hurry too. The hostess retended with a punaka. She steadily fainted as in the oriental fashion as we squatted on oriental blanket seats. Ashram disciples passed to and fro with some thirsty courses. Rather than meal, the descriptions may be only Sampotus rapist. Since arriving on this planet, Jitendra and I had never before tasted such delicious dishes fit for princes indeed. Honored mother, what your royal patrons could have found more urgent than attending this banquet? I can't imagine. You have given us a memory for a lifetime, silent as we were by Ananta's requirement. We could not explain to the gracious lady that our thanks held a doubt significance. Our sincerity at least was patent. We departed with her blessing and an attractive invitation to revisit the hermitage. The heat outdoors was merciless. My friend and I made for the shelter for the lordly Kambaka tree at the ashram gate. Sharp words followed. Once again, Jitendra was beset with misgivings. A fine mess you have got me into. Our luncheon was only accidental good fortune. How can we see the sights of this side of the city without a single paise between us? And how on earth are you going to take me back to Ananta's place? You forget God quickly. Now that your stomach is full, my words, not bitter, were accusatory. How short is human? Memory for divine favors. No man lives who had not seen some of his prayers granted. I am not liking to forget my folly in venturing out with a madcap like you. Be quiet, Jitendra. The same Lord who fed us will show us Brindavan and return us to Agra. A slight young man of pleasing countenance approached at rapid pace, halting under a tree. He bowed before me. Dear friend, you and your companion must be strangers here. Permit me to your host and guide. It is scaringly possible for an Indian to pale, but Jitendra's face was suddenly sickly. I politely declined the offer. You're surely not banishing me? The stranger's alarm would have been comic in any other circumstances. Why not? You're my guru. His eyes sought mine trustfully. During my midday devotion, the blessed Lord Krishna appeared in a vision. He showed me two forsaken figures under this very tree. One face was yours, my master. Often have I seen in the meditation. What joy if you accept my humble service. I am too glad you have found me. Neither God nor man has forsaken us. Though I was motionless, smiling at the eager face before me, an introvert absence cast me at the divine feet. Dear friends, will you not I repeat, dear friends, will you not honor my home with a visit? You are kind, but the plan is unfeasible. Already we are guests to my brother in Agra. At least give me memories of taunting Brindavan with you. I gladly consented. The young man, who said his name was Pratap Chatterjee, hailed a horse carriage. We visited Mandavan Mohan temple and other Krishna shrinks. Night descended. Before we had finished our temple devotions, excuse me, while I get Sandesh. Pratap earned a shop near the railway station. Jitendra and I turned along the wide street, crowded now in the comparative coolness. Our friends was absent for some time, but finally returned with the gifts of merry sweetmeats. Please allow me to gain this religious merit. Pratap smiled pleadingly as he held out a bundle of rupee notes and two tickets just purchased to Agra. The reverence of my acceptance was for the invisible hand, scoffed at my Ananta, had its bounty not for exceeded necessity. We sought out a secured spot near the station. Pratap, I will instruct you in the Kriya of Lahari Mahasya, the greatest yogi of modern times. His technique will be your guru. The initiation was concluded in half an hour. Kriya is your Chintamani, I told the new student. The technique which you see is simple, embodies the art of quickening man's spiritual evolution. Hindu scriptures teach that the incarnating ego requires 1,000,000 years to obtain liberation from Maya. This natural period is greatly shortened through Kriya Yoga. Just as plant growth can be accelerated far beyond its normal rate, as Jagdish Chandra Bose has demonstrated. So, men's psychology development also can be speeded by scientific means. Be faithful in your practice, you will approach the Guru of all Gurus. I am transported to find this yogic key. Long sought, Pratap spoke thoughtfully. Its unshockling effect on my sensory bonds will free me from higher spheres. The vision today of Lord Krishna could only mean my highest God. We sat a while in silent understanding, then walked slowly to the station. Joy was within me as I boarded the train, but this was Jitendra's day for tears. The affectionate farewell to Pratap had been punctuated by shuffling shouts from both my companions. The journey once more found Jitendra in a whirl of grief, not for himself this time, but against himself. How shallow my trust! My heart has been stone. Never in future shall I doubt God's protection. Midnight was approaching. The two Cinderellas sent forth penniless entered Ananta's bedroom. Just as he had lightened predicted, his face was steady in astonishment. Silently, I showered a table with rupee note. Jitendra, the truth. Ananta's tone was jocular. Has not this youngster been stagging a hold up? But as the tale was unfolded, my brother turned sober, then Solomon. The law of demand and supply reaches into subtler realms that I had supposed. Ananta spoke with spiritual enthusiasm never before noticeable. I understand for the first time your indifference to waltz and vulgus accumulation of the world. Late as it was, my brother insisted that he receive Diksha into Kriya Yoga. The Guru Mukunda had to shoulder in one night the responsibility of two unsought disciples. Breakfast on the following day was eaten in a harmony that had been absent on the preceding morning. I smiled at Jitendra. You shall not be cheated of the Taj. Let us view it before starting from Serampore. Bidding farewell to Ananta, my friend and I were soon before the glory of Agra, the Taj Mahal. White marble dazzling in the sun, it stands a vision of pure symmetry. The perfect seating in dark clampres, glossy lawn, and tranquil lagoon, the interior is exquisite, with lac-like carvings inlaid with semi-precious stones. Delicate words of scroll emerge infrequently from marbles, brown and violet. Illumination from the dawn falls on the cenotaphs of Emperor Shah Jahan and Mumtaz I Mahal, queen of his realm and his heart. Enough of sightseeing. I was longing for my Guru. Jitendra and I were shortly travelling south by train towards Bengal. Mukunda and I had not seen my family for months. I had changed my mind. Perhaps later I shall visit your master in Shirampuri. My friend, who may midly be described as vacillating in temperament, led me in Kolkata. By local train, I soon reached Sirampore, 12 miles to the north. A thrum of wonderment stole over me as I realized that 28 days had elapsed since the Banaras meeting with my Guru. You will come to me in 4 weeks. Here I was, heart pounding, standing within his courtyard on quiet Rachel Lane. I entered for the first time the hermitage where I was to spend the best part of next 10 days with an Indian incarnation of wisdom.